Hi, this is Brenda Ahlberg with the Kenai Peninsula Borough. I am the Public Information Officer for the Office of Emergency Management. And with me today is Rocky GIlbert. He is the Operations Section Chief for the Great Basin Incident Management Team. That's a mouthful. I want to introduce him today. We're going to talk a little bit about the Ready, Set, Go lines. What does that mean? And what does that mean to you? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Rocky.
All right. Thank you. So the Ready, Set, Go lines are some things that our team uses our expertise on how fire is going to move. We work with the local Department of Emergency Management in order to figure out how long it would take them to evacuate a community or subdivision. And based on those time frames, we put some lines on the map. And so we've worked with them pretty closely on what we've got going on here around Cooper Landing. Again, for their time frames, they're looking at a ready would be about a 24-hour time period of where we thought fire might make it to a residence. A set is approximately a 12-hour to make it to a residence, and then a go, they think they need about 6 hours to do an evacuation. And so these lines, while they are on a map, they're also fluid. So for instance, if we thought that there was going to be we had a forecast for a really strong wind that was going to push towards those lines, if we felt that that would happen in a time frame that would cause us to have to go, we may do that. We may coordinate that with Department of Emergency Management to just tell them to go before it even reaches a set line because of what we think the fire may do. So knowing that these are on the map, they're very fluid, and we have to use our professional determination to give folks time to evacuate.
So let's talk about that just a little bit, because what I'm hearing you say is, so we have Cooper Landing that's in a ready level of alertness right now, because of the lines that have already been pre-established. You had said something that there might be an instant due to the current evaluation that we'd have to go from a ready immediately to a go. We're not even going to go set. And is that because you're looking at all of these impacts together, whether it's the road closure, the smoke that's so heavy you can't drive? Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so sure. So we've built these lines on what we think kind of normal fire behavior would be. So the time frames we think with what we would call probably a flanking fire. But we have to take into those other considerations of what it would really take to get people out of the communities. And so if we've got a strong wind that's going to push towards it, we need to move things much faster.
Okay, that's good to know. So, for example, I wanted to give you guys an analogy. Most of us have either floated or motored down the Kenai River, and oftentimes we look for those shoals, those low-lying streams that have gravel beds. And how do we mitigate around those? So, if we were at that green level and we're looking at it from a boat perspective, then we know at a higher level of water we can go over those shoals. We are going to be able to navigate safely. But as the water goes lower, as we have those shoals that start having those ripples, us as motorists know that we now have to change our navigational plans so that we don't get around it. That could be that set line that tells us, well, we better make sure that we don't scratch a blade across those rocks. And then, of course, if that shoal is exposed, we know that we can't run over it. We're going to do some real damage to our engine. We're going to do some real damage to our drift boat if we're rowing, because all we're going to do is hit those rocks. That's the red. That's the green. So basically, these lines are very much like us being on the Kenai River. Let's get around it. Let's move. Let's make sure that we have the time to mitigate any kind of harm to ourselves or those that are with us. Rocky, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, and I just want to make sure people understand the lines that you see out here in response to Sterling. Those lines are still a work in progress. Don't expect that these are actually what we're going to use. Again, working with the local Department of Emergency Management, we'll adjust those to give proper timelines for them to work with that community as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time today. And we will have more updates for you guys as things change and give you the information that you need to know about the Ready, Set, Go program.